Welcome to Mind Matters, a Vision Mind Media Network production. I am your host, Sharon Musau. University life is often seen as a time of freedom, self-discovery, and new opportunities. But beneath the excitement lies a growing crisis, one that is silently taking over our campus. Drug and substance abuse is stealing potential, while gambling is emptying pockets and breaking dreams. Let's be honest, how often do we talk about drugs and substance abuse and gambling in our universities? Beyond just the headlines, we may see it happening around us, maybe even to people we know, but do we really understand how deep the problem runs? Have we ever stopped to ask, how does it really start? Why do so many students fall into these traps? And when things get out of control, where do they turn to? Today, we break the silence, challenging the norms and uncovering the truth behind drug abuse and gambling in our university. The question is, are we paying enough attention? To help us navigate this conversation, I am joined by two amazing panelists who will have valuable insights to share. To help us break down this topic on drug abuse and gambling addiction, I'm joined by two amazing panelists. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. I'm Greg Kiri, sports journalist and a former chairman of Current Graduation of St. University.
Aswani Manuel, a counselor and social worker.
Thank you, the both of you, for joining us today. So we hit it immediately. Drug abuse and gambling are often talked about, but from your perspectives, what does drug use and gambling actually look like in the universities?
In the university, mostly drug abuse is drinking alcohol, smoking marijuana, and smoking tobacco. Those are the main forms of drug abuse. And gambling is specifically using money to try to get, let's say luck, trying to win more money with the little you have. But mostly you lose your money, so you keep trying, and in the process, trying to win back all that you lost becomes an addiction, because you keep thinking that the next time it might go well for you, but just keep digging deeper.
Anything to add?
Just to understand about this topic of drug abuse and gambling addiction, it's good that we take back and look and see the root cause as to why we students in university engage or indulge ourselves in drug addiction. You know, there is a lot of freedom in universities. We are left that fact that freedom is something that when you misuse it can bring repercussions. In universities you find that many students find themselves having free times, and these free times at times create curiosities. I want to try this, I want to get to know how can this act, how can this show up on me, how which effect will it take into. So let us be specific, like here in Mosaic University, we have seen, I have interacted with them, and this freedom, this curiosity, peer pressure is something that you cannot assume, you know. That is how we cannot assume it's that serious that it is taking, like if, for example, it's like a trend. It's like a trend, and not in this university alone. In all the universities in Kenya, it's like a trend. Like when students indulge themselves in drugs, we find that we can start a class of in the first years. We can start a class of 100 students, but at the graduation time, you find that that number does not concur with the one that registered. So it's a serious topic, and thank you for broaching the topic.
Yeah, to add to what my colleague Eric has said, I think any basis of addiction, both drug abuse and gambling lead to addiction, any basis of addiction is attributed to social interactions, your environment. Mostly people try drugs and gambling in the university, but if you look at it from a broad perspective, you realize that nowadays it's easier to gamble than it has ever been. Kitambo ilikuwa ungeenda, you could go to a casino or a bar to place a bet, but nowadays, if you have a smartphone, you just go online as long as you have data. When you get online and you place a bet, making it not just a problem in the university, but to the whole community. As a nation, we have a problem because even little children, watoto bora tu wanajua kutumia simu, they can access the internet. Another thing, we have to also look at entertainment and the choice of what is put in the televisions and any other form of media. You find that we tend to advertise alcohol and in fact even gambling is advertised. You find there SportPesa ad, Betika ad. Kuna hapo imeandikwa try your luck and who doesn't want to create rich person. So addiction is directly attributed to social interactions and the environment. Then the environment has a very big impact on you. So it affects your decision making and scheming the age.
Thank you both for your insights. So as you can see on the screen, we have a presentation of the prevalence of drug and substance abuse among university students in 2025. This is from NACADA, they did. And you can see alcohol, the different drugs that are being consumed mostly in university. As you can see, alcohol leads, of course, everyone is drinking alcohol at larger percentage, 33.37%, followed by cannabis, if I'm not wrong. To those who don't know, cannabis is bangi. Cannabis, which is leading at 14.9%. Then there's cigarettes, which is currently at 13.4%. Then the cannabis edibles. For further understanding, cannabis edibles are the weed cookies, weed lollipops, that is what they're calling the cannabis edibles. You can see next is Nira or Shayes Nira cut, following at 10.1%. Then Shisha 10.9%. Then the Moboka 9.9%. And lastly, the vape, which is the e-cigarettes, 8.6%. With the statistics given, are you surprised with how they look like, or you expected something less or even more than what is presented over here?
I think the numbers are way off. You cannot quantify gambling and drug abuse simply by investigating with a small group. To get accurate data, you have to look at the whole population. I'm sure whoever did this research did not consider looking at the whole population.
So in your opinion, you actually feel the numbers are more?
Yes, drug abuse is at a very high rate compared to the statistics that we have.
What do you feel about this?
My sentiments on that. We have to first understand there is drug use and drug abuse. There is a difference. If I'm taking a little percentage of alcohol, I'm not abusing that. I'm not abusing alcohol. So I also feel that those numbers are overdone.
Overrated.
Yeah.
So you feel the numbers are low and you feel the numbers are high?
I like to pose a question to my colleague. Where does drug abuse begin? Where does the distinction between drug abuse and drug use begin?
I believe, or what I think is drug abuse is using more than you should. Because, more than you should.
How much do you use?
A little percentage, it is written in the Bible. A little percentage is good for the
So it's good to use a little cannabis?
Yeah, no. It's okay. Overdependence of these drugs is what I think is drug abuse. Overdependence of these drugs. Using more than, okay, you should not take more, but you should take something.
But I think for my opinion, let me cut you, sorry for that. I think with these statistics, they are very clear, it's drug abuse. So I personally am confident with these statistics. Number one, when you talk about drug abuse, it means umetumia. Sasa now, you are over-dependent on the drug. You cannot survive without drinking alcohol. You cannot work without drinking. You cannot do anything. Right now, if I was an abuser of drugs, I could not be seated here hosting this conversation sober. I think that is what I understand. So for me, I believe the statistics are right because in reality, let's be honest, like let's talk about alcohol alone. In Masai Mara University, right now it's currently at 12 p.m. When you go to liquor stores around and clubs, would you not find students?
We will find students there.
True. So for me, I support the statistics on drug abuse and I agree with what he says, but I also hear what you're saying and I understand where you're coming from.
Let me break it down a little bit. Drug abuse is not just over dependence on the drug. Drug abuse is using the drug for the wrong purposes. Someone somewhere right now has been at a broken. She or he is headed to a liquor store. Someone somewhere is seated with friends who are using the drug. So he or she is going to use that drug, not because he or she wants to use it, but because they feel that since their friends are using it, they will also only feel comfortable.
A moment of interjection.
Yes.
Can't we not know that last statement you have said, isn't that what we call peer pressure?
Yeah, that's peer pressure.
Going back to where our conversation started, we actually said, I think he's the one who pointed it out, why the main question is supposed to be then tackling is why, what is leading to drug abuse? And he brought the idea of peer pressure, and that is what you're actually trying to tell us right now, that because of peer pressure, I may not be wanting to use drugs, but because my friends are indulging in drugs, and I want to look like a good friend and I want to support their decisions.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So when it comes to drug abuse, it does not directly correlate with overdependence. It goes to what purpose are you using this drug?
Okay.
That's where drug abuse comes in, and that's why I feel that the numbers are way down.
They're way down.
Yes.
Okay.
They're way off. Because if you look at drug abuse and you are strict about drug abuse, you are strict about it, you will realize that most people are using drugs not because they want to, but because they feel they need to. That's drug abuse.
True. And also the curiosity, before you add something, and also the curiosity of I've joined universities, the freedom, I've left home, I've come to need this space where I don't have my parents around, I'm no longer being followed around, and nobody's asking me what I'm doing. So the curiosity to try something new. I've never tried alcohol, I've never tried shisha. I think for me, I'd say also the curiosity that one comes in university.
Yeah, before my colleague continues, curiosity is there. That's the first time. But what about the second time? What about the third time? What about the amount of time you reach? That's why I started by saying drug abuse correlates with the social environment and the people who you have around. Because there's a study by a doctor, his name was Alexander in the 1970s, 1980s, on rats. I think he used morphine on rats. So some of these rats were placed in a cage, in a family of rats, and then morphine was placed there. So these rats were less likely to use that morphine to abuse it because they had each other. They had each other, keeping each other company. But the rats that were alone in the cages used that morphine to a point of they succumbed because they used those drugs. That's the study. It's called rat track, I think. That's the study. So when you look at it, you realize that social interactions are very, what can I say, what's the word? They're a deciding factor when it comes to addiction or drug use or gambling. Yes, because sometimes someone may be feeling stressed right now. If he or she has someone to talk to, they might not use that drug. But if they don't have someone to talk to, what will they do?
Turn to drugs.
Just to come to a memorandum of agreement, it's good that we look at that fight and day. What is making alcohol the topmost that is highly abused?
Affordability.
It's legal.
Easily accessible.
That falls under
Easily accessible. That is my point. These drugs are easily accessible. If we do a spot check around Masai Mara University, it will be hard for you to book.
True.
But if I walk distance, just few steps away from the compound, the school compound, and I find a spot, alcohol liquor spot, right? It's easier for me to find cannabis, So availability, easily available is what is making us students business students.
Okay. Also, to talk about something, as you can see this pie chart here, it only has the drugs that are, lack of a better term, is accessible, and we can all agree on this table that the hard drugs are also there. I'm talking about the likes of heroin, man drugs, cocaine, and we can all agree that they're out here and there are people who are using them, right?
Something funny about drugs, they also go with classes.
True.
Because it may not be easy for a student to find cocaine.
But it is easier for a student.
Actually in Masai Mara, it might not be easy for a student in Masai Mara to find cocaine.
Yeah.
In USI it's possible.
True. I agree. I agree. So, I think we're all on the same page now. So, we have talked about the reality of drug use and everything else. However, my colleague Brian Lemuria conducted an interview with someone who's known Peter. It's not his real name. But we can listen into the interview and we can have a better understanding of now from someone who's addicted to gambling, so that we can now hear from their point of view. We are speaking from the point of we are not addicts and we don't know. So hearing from someone who has experienced that will be much better for us, right?
Yes, sure.
Briefly introduce yourself. I'm Peter Nderangu, a second year student at Masai Mara University, pursuing Bachelor of Education, English Literature.
When did gambling first become part of your life?
Gambling became part of my life for the first time when I finished my high school. The period between January and September before joining the university, I got some addiction through my friends, and so I found myself betting and gambling like that.
What led you to start gambling? Was it peer pressure, stress, something else, or those friends?
The thing that led me to gambling, it was the peer pressure from my friends. There were some of my friends who used to bet to gamble from before, and according to them, they were like gambling was a good thing. So I tried. So this pushed me to try and gamble and see whether it works.
Joining campus, have you ever tried gambling?
After joining campus, that's the thing that I continued doing.
How is it affecting your daily academics and also your relationship?
In gambling, first of all, it needs resources, and that's money. Another thing, when you are gambling, you need your time. You need to take your time. You study everything about the odds and so on, about teams. You need to know about history. So that means you'll take a lot of time doing the gambling. And this is affecting my academics since I'm taking a lot of time in gambling rather than in my studies. So in relationship with other people, in gambling there are various friends and different types of friends. Others will actually tell you that gambling is not good. Others will tell you just continue your gambling. And I think for that one, I don't take it negatively. I think I'm pushing on my gambling process.
Have you ever won big in gambling?
Yeah, winning big in gambling. Yeah, I
How
remember
much?
the last time I won big. It was around 12,000 Kenyan shillings, and it was last year, 2024, and I think that has been keep making it going.
How did it impact your gambling habits after winning that 12K?
After winning the 12,000 Kenyan shillings, it gave me morale that keeps me pushing until now. I think when you look at the big money with a small stake, I think you have that morale. But actually you will lose many times as compared to the times that you win.
At what point did you realize that gambling was becoming a problem to you?
I have realized just recently because in terms of academics, I am going down in terms of money, my financial status, it seems that I'm struggling because I'm not using my money well. I usually place with a big stake, and of course I lose, and sometimes I win small money, and that is affecting me financially.
Okay. Have you ever borrowed money or sold your belongings to support your gambling?
Yeah, I think borrowing, I usually borrow 100 bob, 200 bob from friends, but selling any of my item in my house. There's a time I sold my laptop because of gambling. This is because I had the first month that I had before selling the laptop. I had about 20,000 Kenyan shillings, whereby I placed a bet with 10,000 stake, and the other one with another 10,000 stake. But unfortunately, I lost the bet. So this made me to have the anxiety to bring the money back. So I went on to sell my laptop so that I can get enough stake to place and have the money back. But at the end of the day, it all went, yeah.
Okay, how has gambling been affecting your mental health? Have you been experiencing maybe stress, anxiety, or depression?
Of course, when you're addicted to something, it can affect you. For me, it has affected my mental health. I think I usually think, where will I get money from so that I can place a bet and wait for millions, huh? But and when I don't have money, I usually think of many things. I think of how to get money, and this is affecting me in a very big way, and it's more dangerous to my life.
Okay, have your friends maybe or your family noticed your gambling habits, and what was their reaction?
I think about family, no, but for friends here at school, most of them, they know that I'm a gambler. I spend all my time in gambling, even weekends or weekdays. So, and their reaction, some of them, they react to me and tell me the gambling process is not good. It's affecting you. Others, they give me the morale. So, but at the end of the day, I'm the one to choose. I'm still betting and gambling.
Okay. Have you ever tried to stop gambling, and what is the hardest part in it?
Yes, in my lifetime, in the period that I have participated in gambling, I've tried as much as possible to stop, but it's an addiction, and trying to stop it is very difficult. And I think when you try to stop it, then you just go through, and then you find your friend, even your friend or another person has won from that gambling, then that makes you to go back to gambling, and that's the difficult part of it.
Okay. Have you sought any help from counseling, therapy, or your support groups?
No, I haven't reached that situation, but I need a counselor so that I can start a new life and do greater things apart from gambling.
Okay. How do you deal with the urge to gamble today?
Dealing with the gambling in today's life, as compared to the economy, first of all, you need to be responsible. That's the first thing. Like if you get 1,000 Kenyan shillings, just use even 100 bob, and then 900 bob, you just use it in your daily needs. I think it's just all about being responsible.
What strategies help you to stay away from gambling?
One of the strategy is being busy with either reading books or going to watch football or studying. And I think as long as you have the phone with you, it will be difficult for you to stop gambling, since you already have your phone, and now the difficult part is having the stake to place the bet. Yeah.
Okay. Can you share any of your stories about gambling? A story that you won't forget about gambling? What happened?
I think in gambling, back when I was in first year, I was given school fees. It was about 50,000 Kenyan shillings, whereby there was a game that was playing that was Barcelona was playing against a small team. I don't remember the name, but it was a small team that was fighting relegation. So, of course, if even you know that the small team will always lose. So I went on to place a bet with 20,000 Kenyan shillings so that I can get, so that I can win, whereby I placed, I gave Barcelona to win the game, but I was to win about, I get back my 20,000 and get some 10,000 to do my things. So during the match, it was on a Saturday in the evening, whereby the game started, and there was Barcelona scored first through a penalty, and then at the game at halftime the game was 1-0. Still it was 1-0, and then in the second half at 70 there, I just knew that the game is over, since it's a small team. Then Barcelona is supposed to win and will win obviously. So I just went outside, relaxed for a little bit, 10 minutes, so that I can wait my 10,000 and go and enjoy. So coming back, I found that it was a shock to me when I found that the opponent of Barcelona had come back to 1-1, then had scored another goal, then added another one. So, and it was the 90th minute. So I lost 20,000 Gs, and then from there, the remaining 30,000, I placed them another bet, and as normal, I lost the bet. Yeah.
Very sorry for that. What advice will you give to students who are struggling with?
My advice to students who are struggling with the gambling, I think it's good that you try as much as possible to stop the habit, since I think it can affect you mentally, it can affect you financially, and it's not a good thing. Yes, you can have a chance to win big with a small stake, but nothing in this world comes easy. So I think we need to stop. Anybody outside there who is doing the gambling, please just quit it and be a good person, and just do other things which will bring money.
Welcome to Masai Mara University, where dreams take flight and futures unfold. Located just 150 kilometers southwest of Nairobi, route to the renowned Masai Mara Game Reserve, we are a public university dedicated to providing quality education through innovative teaching, research, and community outreach. At Masai Mara University, we believe in nurturing not only academic excellence but also holistic development. Our passionate faculty members are dedicated to guiding and inspiring students to reach their fullest potential. With a commitment to excellence and a focus on innovation, Masai Mara University empowers students to become leaders in a global society. Our dedication to quality education has been recognized nationally, earning us the Quality Education of the Year award in 2024. Join us and be part of a community dedicated to excellence, sustainability, and transformative education. Masai Mara University, inspiring innovation, embracing heritage. For more info, visit our website at www.mamarau.ac.ke or email us at info@mamarau.ac.ke. Life is full of challenges, but your mental health should never be ignored. Did you know that 1 in every 8 people struggle with mental issue? It's time to prioritize your well-being. Mental health is just as important as physical health, and talking about it isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Together we can break the stigma. Always remember, self-care comes first. Take a moment to care for yourself. Reach out to a friend, a counselor, or a loved one. Remember, help is always within reach. Finally, you are not alone. Your mental health matters. Let's stand together for a world that listens, supports, and heals. For support, reach out to Vision Mind Mental Health Center at 07573 45326. Help is just a call away.
We've listened to Peter's story and actually want us to deep dive into this conversation and now discuss gambling seriously, because we know there are so many Peters out here. So that's what we do.
I'm actually surprised that someone is losing money and continuing to bet. It's that serious.
Definition of addiction.
I did not know it is that deep.
It is.
Having listened to Peter's story, and as you said, there are many Peters out here. It's something. It's a point of concern actually. It's something that needs to be taken with the magnitude that it comes with, and there is the fact that our mainstream medias are broadcasting and advertising. I don't want to mention names, but we have seen them broadcasting that this person started with 200, he or she has won, is a factor that is pushing generations. And you cannot even forget and ignore the fact that there are jobless students that have graduated. That is something that they see, this is an opportunity. If it is all intertwined. You see, if my peer is driving a car, my peer at the moment is driving a car.
When you say a car, we're not even talking like a small car, we're
Yeah.
talking like a Mercedes.
Yeah, like a silky car, a silky car. And you're there, you're jobless, you don't have anything to do, you're just seated, and you have your 200, you have your phone, your smartphone, it is fully loaded with net. It is easier for you to try and see how you can earn. You know, it's just a way of wanasema kutoka kwa block. It's just a way of trying to see how you can excel in life, and that is what leads this us in generation to gambling. And it's a serious addiction, because it's an addiction like any other. You know, gambling is an addiction like any other, and it's something that is not spoken, because if you have mainstreams, that is my point of concern. Actually, I'm bitter that I see mainstreams. They are focusing, they have like 30 minutes or 10 minutes in their broadcast to show us, like, that is part of news. They are showing us that is part of news. We are from people are killed in this area. Now, to other news. One of us is a pilot, driving the aviator. And they are very serious. They can't do that part. So we as youths, we want this money. You know, we want this money. My from where I come from, we are I'm told that usikimbilie maisha. But now, if let's say someone is driving, we say we are in the same age group. Is driving. I am here to bless. I don't see it. I don't see that light at the end of the tunnel. And I have a phone. I have a smartphone, and it's fully loaded with data. I have 200. I have cash, like small cash. What will make me not to go to that site and try my luck? You know. Yeah.
Before you give your point, I actually want to deep dive a little bit in what Eric has said. Gambling. I think I'd say on point on mainstream media, I genuinely feel you, because I really I'll say this, I really have a problem with mainstream media with how it advertises gambling. I think they tend to ignore that this is a serious issue. People out here are even getting to a point after losing money, they are committing suicide. Because you've gambled and gambled and gambled, and now you don't have even that little money to gamble. So I agree, and it's something mainstream media actually should for sure correct. Let's get to you.
I feel like gambling is a disease that we rarely talk about.
True.
And it's a disease that has eaten into our society. And we haven't mentioned anything about it until it has started festering. At some point, the government made some regulations that actually made me very happy. We tried regulating gambling companies. We tried regulating the age of people who can access gambling sites. But we forget that the choices we put there are really half-assed measures, not full measures. Because I'm 17 years old, let's say I'm 17 years old now, or I'm 15 years old. I go into a gambling site, and the only measure I put there is asking me, are you 18 years old?
True.
Obviously, I say I'm 18 years old, even though I know I'm out of age. Everyone's psychology is unique. The makeup of your psychology, the makeup of Eric's psychology and mine is different. So I've heard Eric saying that it's very bitter that someone loses money and still goes back to trying to win. There's the principle of Robin Hood. I think everyone is aware of Robin Hood. This guy, he used to steal from the rich and give it the poor. In this type, the gambling sites that the rich, mtu mwenye na gamble is the Robin Hood, just trying to get back what they've been giving away. So something about gambling, when you lose money, when you try to gamble the next time, most people don't try to win money because they want to win. They try to win back the money they lost. So you have 1,000 shillings, you place a bet, you lose, and then now you're placing 2,000 shillings. Why? Because you want to win the money lost first, and then you want to win the money that the profit. You want to have a profit after winning the money that you lost. Yeah. So that's the thing about gambling. It starts with a little. And the funny thing is that when you are starting to gamble, you always win. You always win. I don't know how it happens, but when you're starting, you win. But after Mezoea, you start losing. I read an article somewhere that says that gambling has every market has a target market. So gambling, it has a target. They know, and you know the way everything works right now. Can Google Chrome or maybe if you're Armenian, you Google something. You always press somewhere accept, or you don't read, just accept. So you are giving permission to any site that you are visiting. Anything you search, so it can collect data, and then they start advertising to you according to the data. So you search about, for example, I know Eric is a fan of Chelsea. So you just search there, Chelsea, you want to know wanacheza saa ngapi. But now they start giving you odds. Kidogo unaanza kuna spam messages. Do you want to win? Put this odds, and then after you win, you can give us a 30%. And you're unashanga, mtu amejuaje hizi zinaweza win. So you try your luck and put your money there. It might go your way, it might not go your way. But gambling, in the past it used to be a man's thing, but nowadays it's even crossed to women, and also it also directly attributes to the current economic situation. Eric has mentioned something about that. And someone has said, you don't have a car, and I feel the pressure that life is moving fast and I'm not there, so we want to compensate.
Also, if I've got you short, to add on gambling, I think we can all agree, especially in university, the main thing that pushes young people to gamble is the pressure that comes from your peers. You're doing well in life, you're not doing well in life, so I try and find a way to get the money easily. like basically, right? But also, other than the pressure, other than you feeling the pressure from your friends and people you see, what else do you think pushes someone to that point of gambling? Leave alone the economy and everything. What else?
You know, when you talk about peer pressure, it's someone having an effect on you to do something. When it comes to gambling, I don't look at it as peer pressure. I look at it as your own pressure. Because, okay, someone else has a car, you don't have a car. But did he tell you or did she tell you to gamble to have that car? Who put that pressure on you?
Myself.
Exactly. So most times we tend to blame others for our own mistakes, for our own grievances, but sometimes we should blame ourselves.
You should take accountability
Yes.
in everything that you do.
Exactly. Because no one told you, no one forced you to go do this.
You gamble.
And after it failed the first time, I keep repeating this statement because the first time it happened, but you went again the second time, the third time, and you continue doing it.
So you agree with the statement he says he doesn't get it why you lose a lot of money the first time and you go back to it.
That I understand.
You understand?
Yes,
But
from a psychological point of view.
yeah, but
From a psychological point of view.
but let's just be honest
No,
with each other.
I'm being honest with you.
What is the definition of accountability? Because it brought when we were here, let's talk
The biggest,
accountability. Okay, I want to be accountable, right?
and I'm trying to
You
make
literally told me. No one told me. He didn't tell me go gamble so that you can get the car. Nobody told me, right?
Exactly.
But we keep on going back to nilipikwa pressure, nilianza kupata pressure, nilianza sijui kusikia nini, all those things. But when does one person not say it? Let me sit down and ask myself.
Generally, here we're talking about addiction, right? Do you know what the biggest threat to an addict is?
Tell me.
There is zero. Why? Because it might be, let me branch out. It might be alcohol, it might be gambling, whatever it is. You might even go to up to 5,000 days without gambling. But what happens when you bet on the 5,001 day? What happens? You go to the zero. So that's the biggest threat to an addict of any sort, the zero. You might go, you might put in effort all the way, but when you revert, recidivism, that's a big problem. So I started by saying, we are all unique, our psyche is unique. So how you process is different. Because what brings people back is that they hope that this time around it will be different. It will be different. I wasn't lucky last time, but I've taken time, I've studied the laws, I've studied the system. This time around it's going to be different. But eventually you realize that it's not going to be different. It's a pattern. And in counseling therapy, we say the best way to change a behavior is to do another thing. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy. So you start engaging in other things to try and alter your behavior, try to change the unwanted behavior pattern. But the problem is, what do you do when that distraction, let me just call it a distraction, I shouldn't, but let me call it a distraction. What happens when that distraction stops being enough? So it's easier to judge someone who has done something if you have never been in their shoes. But when you look at it the way they look at it, their point of view, you realize that they had every reason to go back there. They had every reason to go back there. Because let me ask you this. Let's say you're gambling, you need to win, and then one day you just decided to go back and then go on. Would you be sad that you go?
Definitely not.
Exactly, you'll be happy. You'll be happy that you go. So there's that question, what if?
What if?
What if this time? What if this time is different? But another thing we have to consider is that whatever comes first goes first. Most people, even when you look at the winners, let's look at Peter's case. Peter said that he won 12,000 at some point, and he felt like, in fact, he's still gambling right now.
Yes.
And he feels that the 12,000 he won is something that is motivating him to continue doing it because he won at some point, so he's sure that he will win again.
Again.
Exactly. So it keeps bringing him back there. And you can't blame him because it happened. The first time it happened. What is stopping it from happening the second time? So you have to consider that. You don't look at it from your own perspective. You have to put yourself in this person's shoes. What makes them go back there?
Eric, lines. That was a good eye opener. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Baswani. Thank you, host. I feel like I am getting a light. Every day is
It's a learning day.
you know, that there's something that you have said that is very serious. That is actually of magnitude. That is something that is supposed to be put in gold. It's a personal choice. A very personal choice. It's something that I decided, let me be. You're not pushing me anymore.
Exactly.
It is you that decide, let's do this, And the fact that you decide and you sit down, the thinking process. Let me take you down to a thinking process. The fact that you get out of here, you go to your home, and you decide, let me make a meal. You decide, okay, I will take ugali. Today I want to take ugali. What will I take ugali with? You see that part? Am I going to take ugali with some grains? It's a process. How did I start thinking that? How can I get money?
Easy.
How can I get money easily? Actually, one of my elders said that told me that there is no easy money. There is no easy money. So how would the fact that you sit down and decide how can I get money easily? That is your choice. That is the choice you make. So addiction is a choice, and that goes back to your principles. That goes back to your principles. You see how principled am I? You cannot say that because this one has a car, now I have to have that. You cannot take your life at haste. It is a process. You cannot start climbing the tree from the top. You have to start at the stem, procedural, right? And that is something that we should understand, and we should be alive to that fact. That is right.
I say, brother, my opinion on this gambling conversation and drug abuse, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it and what you say. I'm actually loving the fact that we're actually saying it is a personal choice, because most of the time we tend to try to look for something to cover than say it's a personal choice. And I'm so glad we are actually agreeing, all of us, and that it's a personal choice. And that personal choice is the one that has led into addiction. And I'm so glad we're on the same page of that. And not to shame any victim of drug abuse or gambling or anything. We're just trying to decipher and understand where does this start from? Where did we how did we get here? And for us to understand how we got here, we need to understand, truly talk about where did we start from? And we can all agree it's a personal choice. And now from the personal choice that you made, I want to have a car like my friend, I want to have the money, I want to have quick money, is the one that led us to this point of now, you're an addict of gambling. Do we agree on that? Another point that I want to bring on this table is gambling and drugs going hand in hand. Going hand in hand, the both of them. How does gambling and drug abuse correlate? How do we play a role together in this topic that you're trying to understand?
We have talked about the availability of alcohol around basic campuses. We've talked about the availability of drugs, but these drugs free?
Yeah.
They're not free. So you have to, when you start abusing drugs and you become dependent on them, you have to find a way of keeping getting them. You have to keep getting the drugs. So you look at the easiest way to make money so that you can score. Can score maybe for campus students, and there's help loans and there's parents financing the students, but maybe they're not giving you enough money.
Sure.
Yeah, so within the budget, you cannot manage to afford the drugs that you want and the lifestyle that you need to maintain. So is look at gambling. This is the easiest way I can score some cash. And it doesn't just go to the gambling site. Kuna pool. Kuna pool.
Yeah.
And there's some people who play chess for money, checkers for money. So gambling doesn't just stay with that it's dating. No, it goes along. Some people even leo mvua itanyesha, it's too bad. But I actually have a friend who does that. My friend Joshua does that. He just wakes up in the morning and asks me, mvua kama itanyesha leo. And I keep telling him it's gambling and he doesn't listen. But it's gambling. It starts small.
Okay.
The fact that we experience this thing firsthand, it's encouraging. And the fact that it is to the root, it's something that we cannot assume. But you said we are talking about how they intertwine. As Sonia said, is one thing. One has to look up another, Most cases one has to another. Actually, in university, one has to have, And let us say you are a university student. Your peso balance is, let us say, 50 shillings at most. That is what you have, and you are at that point that you feeling like I need some alcohol, I need some substance. We all have felt the pinch of the economy. Okay. We all have felt that pinch, and that pinch is like electricity ongeza bei again community. And even salt itself, it imepandisha bei. So if I have this 50 shillings and I want to feel nice, I want to feel nice, and I have this 50 shillings. How can I multiply this? How can I make this to a point that I will get more? That is where I comes in. I can take this. It is how I don't remember how much can I transact from my M-Pesa to the government site? What is the rate? I can take as simply as 10. As 10. If I take that 10 and I feel like, okay, I don't have some. I want like 200. I have this 10 bob in my M-Pesa, and there is no way I was sent money on Monday, and it was supposed to cover me for a whole week. It is Wednesday. I have to, this 10 bob. I have to make it work. I want to make it work. I want to make me end the week. And if I want to end this week, I have to have some fun. So I want to make it multiply.
So thank you for that. I appreciate the opinion.
And then something, if I may, gambling, your brain has distinct parts. I think the biggest part of the brain is the cerebrum. But everything in the brain is controlled by a part in the not everything in the brain. Everything you do is controlled by another part in the brain. Movement is controlled by another part. What you feel, for example, if you are pinched, is controlled by another part. So addiction at any given point affects a certain part in the brain, a central part in the brain. And addiction, there's some hormones. Ukifurahi kuna hormones zinakuwa released kwa mwili. It's the same. Pia ukikuwa anxious kuna hormones zinakuwa released kwa mwili. The same way, addiction, there's some hormones that are released. It makes you feel at a good way. Ukibet sahi, you're not sure if the games are going to win or but bet there's adrenaline. And you feel like, I am sure, because you're very sure. I have selected this myself. So how are they going to lose now? You are sure. So
the adrenaline makes you even. I think that hormone, adrenaline, that hormone needs to be studied. because adrenaline, that rush, that excitement, it kind of pushes someone or rather motivates someone. There's just something that adrenaline does to you.
Yeah, exactly. So this adrenaline, you felt it, and then makosa imefanyika. One team loses. For example, Peter lost Macabeth. Afterwards, I would be depressed. Feel uko down. Feel uko down. Unafikiria kwenda wapi? From there, utaenda wapi?
Drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's a good eye opener. And one thing that actually went as we continue our conversation, let's have these conversations more so that people can have an understanding. Number one, gambling addiction is actually a problem and people can get help over it. However, so that tusifike kwa point ya addiction, there are ways we can honestly avoid it, and I'd say over and over and over again that it's a personal decision. Out here, some people are using drugs but they're not addicts. People are gambling but they're not addicts. Like, you can do something but to a particular control. I'm not trying to encourage drug use or rather gambling, but I'm actually trying to say we can actually avoid these things to become to a point of addiction. For instance, going back to our drug conversation, drugs is something that we talk about it every single day. So yeah, I think I'd allow you to give your closing remarks as we close the show. And I'll start with Son.
Okay, so gambling and drug abuse, these are issues that are very related more than we'd like to acknowledge. It's a topic for every university to consider. Universities have crisis management for students. In counselor, we have counseling, we have the ombudsman, we have therapists coming in to help the students and staff, because this issue does not just affect the students, it also affects some staff members. So we have to put measures in place whereby people are sensitized that it's okay and it's very normal not to have. It's very normal not to do drugs. It doesn't make you a parade. It's very normal to be boring. Because people,
To be boring.
yeah, it's very okay to be boring. A boring life may seem uninteresting, but it saves you from a lot of things. So it's very okay to be boring. It's very okay to be uninteresting. So we have to have these frequent talks, and I feel like students and people affected by this, they should not be talked down to. They should be allowed to express themselves. What to let people give the experiences. Why did I do this? Why do I gamble? Why do I engage in drug abuse? That's how we reach the root of the problem and can solve it. But if each time tutakuwa tunaita tu pastor na kuuza sana anasema, by the way mzee kuleti mbaya na mzee pombe si fiti, you know, ukiimba sana unaimba the same song, then wanashika lyrics lakini hawaelewi wimbo. Lyrics wanashika hivyo waelewe. So wacha watu waseme why do we do this? Why do we do it? So that tunaweza angalia what led to this, ndio tumefika hapo ikakuwa now I'm having a problem. When did it become a problem? And for these seminars to work, they should be student initiated. That's where student leadership comes in. So student leadership comes in. Those guys have to look out for the rest of the students because that's what they were elected to do. So that's where they come in. They should engage student seminars so that students can sensitize themselves, and also they can get keynote speakers so that we can solve it. Another thing, we need to have fewer drug hubs in our universities. Inabidi tupunguze. Kama ni liquor stores tupunguze.
Within universities.
Around the
universities.
People businesses and we value businesses, but we have to be, and like you said, accountable. When does it get bad? So
Exactly.
we tuzuie
Ifike uko mbali.
What measures do we have to ensure that these drugs don't get into the university. And measures in place to ensure that these drugs don't get into the university. So these are factors that
We need to consider. Thank you so much for that eye-opening remarks. I know you're able to give your final remarks and also what would you tell as when you have been to the university, what would you actually, as a former MUCA chair, what do you think Masai Mara University should actually do to prevent these cases from being an addiction problem?
Thank you so much, Sharon. My parting shots, I would like to pick it from my left. Universities, how should universities curb this and reduce the harms around the alcohol and drugs harms that are around the university. Let me take a case scenario of Jomo Kenyatta, not Jomo Kenyatta, but JKUAT. You know, there was a place, JKUAT, they call it the Contain. If those who have been to Juja, they know the Contain. They know that place is at the moment is not operating as it was, because the university took initiative. You know, if that can happen with us around in Masai Mara University, that would be something of help. But again, as you said, you've said there are offices that can help. But now that is a point I agree. But now my point is this: it is a personal decision. It is supposed to start with you. But again, if it is a personal decision, you can make poor decisions. You can make very poor decisions. But you think in your own way they are right. But to me, they are wrong. That is where friends come in. Do you have friends? Do you have responsible friends? You know, do you have people that can tell you this is wrong? But most of the times, like in let me sample out male gender. Most of the times, it is hard for a male gender to open up and say that you know, Sonia, I'm going to this and that. You would rather struggle with it rather than talk it out. You know, but one of my colleagues, a friend, there was just take a case scenario in a friend that they schooled with. They were in the same universities in high school, and now the friend, you know, those students that were clear in class, you know, those students that they used to take top positions, but now things are going so, you know, things are not the way they used to be. Like looking at this guy, are you the same person that I used to look up to? Are you the same person that used to show me those texts, those mathematics samples, you know? Yeah, if our friends can come in, you know, go check on your friend, ask him, how are you? How is the going? You know, how is the going? You know, just once, but I have friends, and if I do that to them, they feel like, what is wrong with you? Why are you gay? You know, that mentality. But it is actually, it's a point of concern. It's a point of concern. We should check on our friends. You know, they are dealing with these things, but it is hard for me to come and tell you. Yeah, we're supposed to create that group that all of us are there and there for each other. You know, if I have this issue, I can turn on to this person and tell them, you know, Swani, I'm going through this, and this is happening. I've been going through this. How do you think you can help me out? How do you think you can give me a hand, pull me out of this? But if you don't open up again, it's hard. I don't know. I cannot go and listen to your phone history and see how many times you've been visiting this site. You know, I cannot do that. But if we open up, if we find that person, and finding that person is not easy. So how can I be that person? How can I be the person that this addict is coming to? Am I giving an affordable? Am I giving a favorable safe space that I can come to talk to with this issue? You know, that is something that also we should try and check. That is the particular point.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, Swani. Today, we've had an important conversation, but conversations alone are not enough. Universities need to do more, society needs to do more, and us as individuals, we need to look out for each other and break the cycle before it's too late. To any student caught in this struggle, help exists, and change is possible. The fight against addiction isn't about ignoring the problem. Instead, it's about addressing it head on. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? I've been your host, Sharon Munyera Musau.